Hi, and welcome to another edition of the Defining Wellness Confab. I'm your host, Denise O'Malley, and the founder of You Define Wellness. And we thank you for joining us for this episode, where we're going to be talking to one of our health and wellness professionals, and this time about leaky gut. But before I get to introducing Tiffany, I want to take this opportunity to introduce those who are watching this to You Define Wellness. And the main reason why I want to do that is because we're still relatively new. And there's a lot of people who are saying, you do what? Well, let me see if I can explain it. At our core, we have a network of hundreds of health and wellness professionals across the United States. In fact, we have them in 8 or 9 states right now, and we're branching out nationwide. We're getting ready to bring on a really large state that I'm excited about, but I can't announce yet. But with this network of health and wellness professionals, we are not accepting just anyone. Our providers go through a background check, in fact, a criminal background investigation. We're looking at their reputation online. We are looking at any disciplinary actions and stipulations that might be against them. We are looking at lawsuits against them. So while we can't use that to say, hey, these are the best of the best, I think they are, but you know that when you're working with a provider in the You Define Wellness, that they have gone through that vetting process, and that it just helps you with peace of mind as you're looking at who you want to work with. And with this network of wellness professionals, we're able to do some things with it that a lot of other people can't. And that the first thing is creating an employee benefit program to the workplace. It's kind of like a health insurance plan, but it's not. And it's giving people access to the health and wellness services of their choice. And with a network, we can create an education catalog full of dozens and dozens of health and wellness topics that are available worldwide. And you can, if you have a group that you're looking for, maybe a lunch and learn for, or a community group, or even a school group, go to our education catalog. We've got the people for you. And launching this week with the Defining Wellness Confab is a product for individuals and retirees and self-employed, people who are not covered under our employee benefit program at the workplace, to help you access products and services that you want and at a discount. And we have, for our inaugural launch, a discount that we're offering of 50%. It's a one-time only fee that gives you discounts. You can share it with your friends, your family if you want. It doesn't matter, but it's a card that grants you access to those discounts. And all you have to do is go to youdefinewellness.com and check out all the different programs that we have. And while you're there, pop over to the tab that says Holistic Healing Workplace Crisis Support Team. This is something that we're creating for the communities, to be able to serve our communities more. And this is something that our providers in our network are passionate about wanting to do. Because when crisis hits the workplace, we know that what they're told is to bring in the counselors, and it's good, but it's not enough. Because trauma, emotional trauma, physical trauma will reside in the body if left untreated. And it can crop up days, weeks, months, and even years later. And so we have a team of people that we can bring in from a variety of modalities, and we've already been called into service on this at least twice. That we can bring in the acupuncturists and the chiropractors and the massage therapists and the coaches and the counselors and the psychotherapists. Did I say that already? And energy healers. There's just so many. And we're looking for people to help us form this and spin it off as a nonprofit. And if you're wanting this to occur in your community, if you want a group like this to be available and are so inclined to do so, we are looking for donations. And all you have to do is go to paypal.me/youdefinewellness and make a contribution of the amount that you wish. But that's not why we're here today. We're here because we want to hear about gut type. And joining me today is one of my network providers, Tiffany DeLuisi. And thank you for joining us, Tiffany. And I am going to turn it over to you. It is yours to share your screen.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I will pull this up and get it started, and then I'll introduce myself here in just a second. All right, so my name is Tiffany DeLuisi, and I am a certified gut health specialist from the Institute of Transformational Nutrition. And I also have a certificate in essential oils, herbs, and Chinese medicine from the American Association of Drugless Practitioners. And my approach is about finding, I'm going to stop this, so stop. There you go. So my approach is about finding the underlying reasons for your symptoms and addressing them in a holistic and natural way. So instead of just covering them up with a pill, and I don't believe in fad diets, but instead working together to determine what is right for you and your body. So there's no one like you, and there's no perfect solution that will work for everyone. So my mission is really to help you take back control of your health and your life. And today I'm going to show you how to do that. So today I'm going to be sharing with you how your digestive health is the key to your overall health. I'm going to be sharing with you what leaky gut is and how to know if you have signs and symptoms of leaky gut. You're going to learn how to improve your digestive health so that you can feel like $1,000,000. And I'm going to show you how repairing your digestive system can really help you reduce inflammation, which we know can be the root cause of all disease, and also that it can be really easy to do. So I wanted to share a little bit about my story with you. I started having some chronic health issues about 3 years ago after one of the most stressful years of my life. Ultimately, I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia and Hashimoto's thyroiditis, but I had a lot of other markers for autoimmune symptoms. I was already a health coach working in the industry, so I knew my digestive health might be something I needed to focus on. So I sought out somebody that specialized in this, and after paying her several $1,000s and following a protocol for 4 months, I got worse, not better. And so I knew I had to do something about it. And that's when I actually decided I'm going to go back to school and get this certification. So along the way, I've been able to learn how to heal my body through nutrition and natural supplements. I've been able to reduce my flare-ups. And even just this past September, so not even quite a year ago, I've been able to go off all prescription medications and treat my symptoms 100% holistically. And that's what I'm going to share with you today. So you may not know this, but you could be carrying around 5 to 10 pounds of toxicity at any given time, which means a lot of chronic inflammation and several other chronic symptoms can result from this extra toxicity that is kind of residing in our digestive system. And our digestive system plays a really critical role in absorbing nutrients, maintaining our energy, and maintaining our metabolism. But it is also the key to the health of our entire immune system. So eating and drinking is a really large porthole, that's what I want to say, is where disease-causing critters can get into the body. So it makes total sense that our defense system would be located in our digestive system. In fact, we think between 70 and 80% of our immune system is located in our gut. And these immune cells can move throughout the entire body and cause inflammation anywhere. So when our immunity is down, it is really the result of something called leaky gut, which can potentially wreak havoc on our entire body and even our brain. So inflammation, we know, is the root cause of most, if not all, disease. So getting inflammation under control is really crucial to having a healthy body. So what is leaky gut? So leaky gut is a syndrome that's kind of a rapidly growing condition that millions of people are struggling with and don't even know it. So from the sound of it, you might think that leaky gut only affects the digestive system, but in reality, it can lead to other health conditions. So according to research, leaky gut is actually the cause of food intolerances, low energy, joint pain, thyroid disease, autoimmune conditions, slow metabolism, and so much more. So how I like to describe leaky gut is that your digestive system is like a net, and it has really small holes in it that only allow specific substances to pass through. So I have kids that play in a sandbox. So if you know those sifters that let the fine sand through and the rocks stay on top, that's kind of how it works. So we want nutrients from our food to pass through into our bloodstream. And your gut lining works as a barrier to keep out bigger particles that can damage the system. So when someone has leaky gut, this net in the digestive tract becomes damaged, which causes even bigger holes to develop in the net. So things that normally can't pass through are now able to pass through. So some of those things could be like undigested food, bad gut bacteria, and other toxic waste that we don't want in our bloodstream. And that is what causes an immune reaction. So if you experience any of these symptoms, it could be a sign that you have leaky gut. And the first time I ever saw this list, and actually the list could be a little bit longer, but I used to think, how in the world could my anxiety and depression be linked to my digestive system? So I do want to explain that a little bit. So you've probably heard the phrases like, I have butterflies in my stomach, or I have a gut feeling about this, or there's a pit in my stomach. And you might have wondered why there's a lot of these kind of phrases that involve our brains and our tummies. Well, it's not actually a coincidence. The more we learn about the human gut and our gut microbiome, which is just a fancy word for the bacteria in our digestive system, the more it's clear that it's really our second brain. And we've just talked about leaky gut syndrome and how it's linked to a lot of serious conditions and disease, but science has discovered that there's a direct connection between our gut and our emotions. So our gut is home to the enteric nervous system, which is separate from our nervous system, and it's made up of two thin layers with more than 100 million nerve cells in them. That's more than the spinal cord. And these cells line the entire gastrointestinal tract, controlling blood flow and secretions to help the GI tract digest food. So they also help us feel what's happening inside the gut. And since this is our second brain, it's behind the mechanics of our food digestion. We also know that about 90% of our body's serotonin is actually produced by the vagus nerve, which runs from our gut to our brain. So if our digestive system isn't functioning properly, then we're not going to be producing enough serotonin, and therefore that can affect our mood. Okay, it causes inflammation on the brain that can lead to anxiety, depression, brain fog, or just when you feel like you're just in a funk. So you might be asking, well, how do I heal leaky gut, or how do I maintain proper gut health? Well, I wish I could tell you it was as easy as taking a probiotic and eliminating gluten, but it really isn't. So I go through 5 steps to kind of help heal the gut and maintain proper gut health. And the first step is knowing the root cause of your leaky gut, eliminating foods that are toxic to your gut type, start consuming therapeutic food, treat with non-GMO organic supplements that use high-quality herbs, and transform your lifestyle. So you might have heard me say, your gut type. Well, just like you have a blood type, you have a gut type. And so there's not a one-size-fits-all to healing the body, and so there's not a one-size-fits-all to healing your gut. So it's based on your gut type. And so what I'm going to do with you right now is I'm going to share with you the 5 different gut types, and I'm going to share with you the one thing that you can do to heal that gut type. Now, remember, there's really 5 steps, but I want to share with you kind of the number one thing, or one thing that you can do to see how this is different. So as you kind of are going through this, you might say, oh, I can totally relate to this, or I can totally relate to that. And so just see if you can relate to any of these. So the first one is called stress gut. And the causes of stress gut can include emotional stress, thyroid issues, adrenal fatigue, high cortisol, and high estrogen levels. In fact, a lot of people who come to me and they have stress gut, if I were to ask them on a level of 1 to 10, how stressed are you? They'd be like, can I answer 20? Like, that's kind of where they're at. They're just really, really stressed. And since we know that 90% of the serotonin is released in your GI tract, this makes perfect sense, okay? So when we become stressed emotionally, what happens is it directly affects our intestines and the microbiome, which is that good and bad bacteria in our gut wall. And so it doesn't matter if we're like getting frustrated by a traffic jam, we're worried about our loved ones. This can cause your body to release the stress hormone called cortisol. So this is the same hormone that we need in dangerous fight or flight situations. And we need that for our safety, right? But this everyday chronic stress usually causes overkill. And it can throw the ecology of our gut completely out of whack. So when stress gut hormones are released, this essentially shuts down our digestive system and our immune system. So we're no longer digesting food properly. We're no longer absorbing nutrients properly. But the good news is that you can kind of take back control of this. So the number one thing that you can do to repair stress gut, as you might guess, is to reduce stress. And try to figure out the source of the stress and try to eliminate, okay? So this might seem impossible because we all have stress from time to time. We're not going to eliminate stress 100%, but we can control how we respond to stress, and we can reduce the amount of stress in our lives. So it is possible to retrain the neural pathways in our brain to go down different paths so the mind and body are not negatively impacted by stressful situations. And some of the wonderful side effects when we start doing this is increased happiness, increased productivity, we can accomplish more, improved relationships, and we just feel better overall. So it's a win-win-win situation. So the next gut type is called Candida gut. Now you can have a Candida gut without actually having Candida. So people with Candida gut usually have what the Chinese medicine calls excess dampness. And that will lead to yeast infections and fungal overgrowth, and it can be caused by an imbalance of gut flora. Okay, so we have good and bad gut bacteria in our gut. We want more good than we have the bad. So sometimes things like birth control pills or antibiotics contribute to this problem. And so how this happens is that there's a lot of stress that's put on our spleen and the small intestines. And so that means that most of the digestion and absorption of nutrients of food, since it usually happens in the small intestine, and so that's where, this bacteria is out of whack, that means we're not digesting and absorbing nutrients like we should. And so when we have leaky gut that's contributed to Candida, it can cause lots of other infections. So this could lead to things like skin issues like eczema or psoriasis or acne. It can lead to things like rheumatoid arthritis, multiple sclerosis, fibromyalgia, Crohn's disease. So a lot of people that have Candida gut will tell me, oh yeah, I get frequent yeast infections all the time, or I have this white coating on my tongue. Urinary tract infections, they usually see things like that. So the number one way to kind of overcome Candida gut is to balance out that good to bad bacteria ratio in your small intestines. So we know that when that harmful bad bacteria rises above the 15% mark, it can slow down or stop the immune system from working properly. And it causes this chain reaction that promotes disease and can really mess up your digestion. Okay, so I wish I could tell you it was as easy as just take a probiotic. Okay, but probiotics only add in good bacteria. They don't kill the bad bacteria. Not only that, not all probiotics are created equal. In fact, about 90% of the probiotics on the market will die before it ever reaches your small intestine, and that's where you need it to work. Okay, so there's more steps than, that kind of go through my 5 steps in balancing out that bacteria. So the next one is called the gastric gut. And people that have gastric gut will tell me that they have a lot of heartburn, they have a lot of bloating, and this is actually caused by low stomach acid, frequent antacid use, or people just not chewing their food properly. A lot of times people will say, well, I just think I have too much acid, and it's really just the reverse of that. And when we're taking an antacid, it's kind of like putting a Band-Aid on a broken bone. It doesn't really fix the problem. It just kind of covers up the symptoms. So during digestion, everything is assimilated in the stomach, and the spleen will transport everything along. So the stomach and the spleen really work to absorb and move along your nutrients, and it gives us energy for, living life. So the pancreas also plays a really important role by producing enzymes and hormones to break down the food with digestion. So when we have gastric gut, those things aren't working properly, and then we see the acid reflux, the GERD, the heartburn, the bloating, and that sort of thing. So the number one thing that you can do to kind of help repair gastric gut is to start eating mindfully and paying attention to how we eat. So slowing down, chewing our food, because we live in such a rush world. We're usually eating on the go, we're eating really fast, and we're not stopping to really pay attention and eat mindfully. In fact, the average person only chews a bite of food 3 to 5 times when we should be chewing our food 20 to 30 times before swallowing. So learning how to slow down when we eat and focus on our chewing can go a long way towards preventing and repairing gastric gut. All right, so immune gut. This is a big one. People that come to me with a immune gut, they usually tell me, if I say, do you have any allergies to food or intolerances to food? they will come in with a page like 2 pages long with a list of all these foods they can't eat, okay? They usually have lots of food intolerances. They usually have lots of autoimmune issues as well. And so sometimes this can be as common as like the most like the top 7 sensitivities, like wheat, soy, corn, and dairy. But sometimes it could be things we don't even think about. And so when we're only focusing on like this top 7 allergies, but we have issues with other things, it can lead to an immune reaction, which could lead to leaky gut, and it causes this vicious cycle. So I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about the difference between an allergy, a sensitivity, and an intolerance. So a food allergy is immediate, like within like minutes of eating a food. So I think of my son who has a nut allergy, and we have to keep an EpiPen because it'll be immediate. He'll start like breaking out in a rash, his mouth will itch, and he could stop breathing. So even though it's not that severe, usually within minutes you have some kind of negative reaction to the food. A food sensitivity is milder and it's delayed, so you may not see any negative effects until like 24 to 48 hours later. So that could be upset stomach, diarrhea, constipation, and you may think that could be related to something you ate that day, but it could be from 2 days before. And a food intolerance is a gastrointestinal response that's caused by a lack of enzymes to break down the food and properly digest it. So the number one thing to do to repair immune gut is to really know what foods or what things are causing havoc and to follow an elimination diet. Now we eat a lot of foods, okay? And so it's really kind of hard to think that we're gonna cut out everything we eat and add it back in. So I've recently offered a test to my clients that looks at over 750 possible allergies, sensitivities, and intolerances using hair and the DNA of your hair at a very low price. And it's just as effective as blood, if not more so effective. And it really starts narrowing things down, because when it's not the obvious things like gluten and dairy, it's really hard to figure it out. And for me, it wasn't gluten and dairy, but it was tomatoes, bananas, and kale. And I did not figure that out on my own, okay? So I have a really affordable way of figuring that out that can make it really fast so you're not spending years trying to figure that out. So the last gut type I want to talk about is called toxic gut. And one major factor in leaky gut is stress on the liver and gallbladder. And if your liver is overloaded, then it can affect how your liver bile releases. And that is crucial for proper digestion of fats. So some people that have toxic gut will tell you that their bowel movements float. That's a pretty good indication that you're not processing fat correctly. Or they'll tell me that they have issues with their gallbladder. So when your liver and your gallbladder are overloaded and they back up, it causes stress on your small intestines. You're not breaking down fats or eliminating them properly, and it can lead to an inflammation response. So the number one thing to do to repair a toxic gut is to start to actually remove toxins. So we are exposed to toxins all the time. Sometimes it's environmental toxins that we have no control over, like air pollution, okay? And sometimes it's things in our home that we do have control over, like the things we clean our houses with can be some of the most toxic things we come in contact with, or the makeup or our skincare. We do have control over those. Or it can even be food that contains pesticides and preservatives. So removing these toxins and then detoxing your liver in a gentle way is a really good way to repair toxic gut. So you might have heard this term that food is medicine. And you can use food to heal. And maybe you've tried lots of ways. Maybe you say, I have tried so many things and nothing has helped. And I don't want you to feel like that has been a failed attempt, and I don't want you to lose hope, because there is not a one-size-fits-all option or a black and white approach. And that's where I help my clients break it down and kind of figure out an approach that works for them. So if you could relate to any of these 5 gut types, I would love to know. And so it's not really uncommon if you think, oh, I could relate to 2 or 3 of them. That could be totally normal. But it is possible to make headway in repairing your gut in as little as 30 days. I tell people if they've been out 4 or 5 months, what they're doing is not working for them, okay? So in many cases, it could just be some strategic changes. For others, it might include a detox, which is very manageable and not harsh at all. And you can start to feel really, really good in 30 days. And so to begin this process, you've really got to get down to the bottom of what is your gut type. And then we start eating based on that gut type, taking supplements based on our gut type, and having lifestyle changes based on that. So I've had clients come to me over the last couple of years, and I've seen clients get reliefs from UTIs, ease IBS symptoms. I've had clients come to me with skin issues that they've been able to turn around, be able to sleep better, reduce bloating, break weight loss with plateau, and to reduce body pain. I even had a recent client that his doctor gave him 90 days to reduce his blood pressure and cholesterol on his own, or they were putting him on meds. We got it done in 30 days. So these are just some of the amazing results clients have experienced through going through my gut health program. And so you might be asking, where do I get started, or what would be the next step? So I have a gift for you today. The next step for you is to kind of take this gut health assessment. I have a quiz. It's an online quiz where you answer some questions, and it gives me some really valuable feedback. And then you get on the phone with me, and I have a consultation with you, and I go over this evaluation with you. This is usually a $75 value, but for those of you that are watching this, I would like to offer it to you at no cost. And so all you need to do is you just need to go to this link on the screen. So it's bit.ly, bit.ly /gut type quiz. And you do need to capitalize the G, T, and Q. And it'll take you to the quiz. You'll answer those, and when you submit it, it'll immediately take you to my scheduling calendar where you can schedule that consultation. And during that consultation, I will share with you the results of your quiz and make recommendations based on our discussion. I'll be able to tell you what your gut type is and whether or not you have signs and symptoms of leaky gut. But I want to thank you so much for tuning in with me today and listening to what I have to share about the 5 gut healths. And I am looking forward to helping you heal from the inside out.
That was awesome.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. A couple of things that came up. You ended up, as is happening on a lot of these, is I write down questions and then you answer the question, not knowing that I wrote it down. So I appreciate that. Now, one of the big things that I had was, as you're going through that list, I'm like, okay, yeah. And on many different, almost every single one of them. So how do you work with someone that is on multiple gut types?
So we usually sometimes have a primary and a secondary, and sometimes symptoms overlap each other, so on different things. So we focus on the primary first. And then after 30 days, I will give them another quiz and see if something else pops up. Mm-hmm. And if something else pops up, then we kind of treat that. But believe it or not, most of the time, it's kind of covered. So I know that kind of sounds crazy, but as we kind of start to do one, the other stuff just kind of comes into play as we start putting these habits into place. But sometimes there's a secondary, but usually when they take this quiz, I can figure out, like, you probably have one or the other, or it's both.
Yeah.
I can tell.
So you practice what you preach, because I'm going to tell you, as an observer of Tiffany, and by the way, I apologize for mispronouncing it.
Oh, that's okay.
I'm sure everyone does it. But as I've been watching Tiffany now for a while, you've had an amazing transformation during that period of time, and such vitality that has come out, particularly over the last year that I've been watching. And you are definitely practicing what you preach. It's actually working. And that's one of the best ways. That is the hallmark of one of the best health and wellness practitioners, is they are on the path that they're on because they've lived it, or someone in their family has lived it, and they had to go find the answers, typically because traditional medical insurance or Western medicine weren't giving those answers.
I've learned to ask a lot of hard questions and do a lot of research before walking into a doctor's office.
And rightfully so. And
advocate for myself on many levels. Yeah. Absolutely.
No matter what you're doing, we should absolutely be asking questions and validating that it's the correct information for us and our own situation. But I love the information that you shared. It's fantastic.
Oh, thank you.
The presentation is really, really, really good. I don't know if there are any questions that anyone who is watching this live has. If you do, you're welcome to open up and ask those questions. But and I'll give it to the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, but let me once again share Tiffany's information. So no matter what you do, take her up on our offer. Well, my computer is just doing wonky stuff on me today. Okay, that should be showing the screen. Take her up on her offer. This is great. Take that quiz. It doesn't cost you anything except a little bit of time. You're going to find out some great information, and then have that consultation, because if you've been feeling bad, man, there can be a solution in as few as 30 days, it sounds like. So that is fantastic. But Tiffany, thank you for being with me today.
Oh, thank you so much, Denise.
You are welcome. And thank you for those who are watching live. And for those who are watching on YouTube, find us on YouTube, just put You Define Wellness in the search engine. We have 49 presentations we're loading within the Defining Wellness Confab. We have a lot of content that's already on there with interviews and jam-packed with information that can help you in your health journey. And so we appreciate everyone being with us today, and enjoy your healthcare journey. And if we can be of service, you know where to find us.